Yo, what is up guys, Grim here, and in today's video I'm gonna give you my results from merging over 1,000 Sentinels for science. In this video you're gonna learn how rare mutated bases are, whether or not it's worth mass combining all of your bulk Sentinels which you're not using with power cores for cash, and also some tips on how to use the mutated bases as well as my system for bulk combining them. Alright, if you're enjoying the Sentinel content though, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you like the Grim. But without further ado, let's dive into it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to have to look at here is the premise of the experiment. So the first thing I wanted to understand, which we're going to go over, is how rare these mutated bases are, because they are pretty powerful if you can get your hands on a lot of them. You can get tons of charges. Like this Primevil here, for example, has almost twice the amount of charges as a normal Sentinel, which is crazy. That's like double loot if you can get a good modifier on there. So I wanted to understand how rare these things are and if there's any way to deterministically get them. Okay, so I had a few ideas going into this experiment. I was wondering if there was some sort of an interaction with how many modifiers are on each Sentinel, or maybe there was an interaction with how many times you've merged the Sentinel, which determines how, whether or not you're going to get a mutated base. Okay, so the first experiment I did was two different tests. So the first test I did was to grab basically 100 power cores and test this on both scenarios here. So the first scenario I wanted to test was doing the following. So I would grab a Sentinel, a random Sentinel, any Sentinel, and I would combine it. And then I would also just keep combining onto one Sentinel over and over and over and over again until I got a unique, a mutated base. And I counted basically, okay, how many mutations am I getting here? How many uniques am I getting here? And I found that I was actually getting quite a lot of mutations and quite a lot of uniques, which was pretty good. So I was pretty happy with that. I had a number, I had retorted it. It was pretty damn good. And then the next thing I decided to do was basically do the test again. However, I did it in a little bit of a different fashion. Instead of mass merging all onto one Sentinel, I did it like this. I merged them by twos, like in pairs, like this one basically. I merged them down the line here, and I got a pretty interesting result, which would actually waste a ton of my time. So by doing it in this method, I actually got significantly less unique and mutated bases. I actually got 0 in close to 100 merges, which is 200 Sentinels. And previously, I had gotten like 6 or 7 mutated bases or uniques. So I was pretty confused. I was convinced there was some sort of an internal counter or something like that going on, something strange, which would kind of give you some sort of level of deterministic outcome on the Sentinels. However, after merging the 1,000, I can tell you that's not the case. I can tell you that the rate to get a mutated base is 100% random. There's absolutely nothing that goes into the chance that gives you a mutated base like one of these or one of these, unless you use a transforming power core, which essentially just increases the base chance of getting a mutated base. So overall, first lesson and first discovery is that when you're mass merging Sentinels, you have a flat chance to get a mutated base. And I can tell you, after merging 584 sets of Sentinels, that's over 1,000 Sentinels, I can tell you the following. The chance to get a mutated base is roughly around 5%. So that's a 1 in 20. Out of 584 merges, I got 11 ancient, 10 Primevil, and 12 Cryptic. So you can see here pretty much it's about a 5% chance to get any of those, and respectively they're equally weighted. So you have a good chance of getting one of any of the 3 of them. And you can see here I actually did just get very lucky. I got 2 mutated bases in 6 merges, which is pretty crazy. So yeah, it's a 1 in 20. And I imagine if I had to guess, it probably goes up to a 1 in 10 or a 1 in 5 with the transforming power core. But I haven't actually tested that yet, as it's really not necessary to use that when you have so many of these bases just coming in down the hatch, because you get hundreds and hundreds of Sentinels as long as you are picking them up and you're identifying them, which you should be if you want to have some good muns this league. Also worth noting, out of the 584 combinations, I got 14 uniques, which puts it at a very similar rate to the actual mutated bases themselves. So I would guess that it's a roughly similar percentage chance to get all of the bases as well as the unique, which is, pretty interesting. Okay, so overall, if you wanted to mass merge, you're looking at about a 1 in a 20. My worst streak here was like not getting one in like 100, but obviously best streak, you can get them very, very quickly. It is RNG, but if you do mass merge, you're going to have a massive amount of these special bases to play with and do stuff with, which is pretty damn good. And that is basically 100% science ironclad. I've tried tons of different ways of merging, tons of different methods. I've tried making it so that the prefixes have way too many prefixes, and the suffixes have way too many suffixes. It just doesn't do anything. It's completely random and it's just a RNG kind of deal. Okay, with that out of the way, what is the next question? So the next question is it worth it? Well, we need to dive into a few different things here. So you're gaining 3 things while you are merging these Sentinels. Okay, so first and foremost, you are gaining a mutated base. You're going to get about, 5 mutated bases per 100 power cores. Now, power cores are a pretty cheap resource. They're about half a chaos each, so you can bulk buy these and it's no problem. And if you're running the Sentinel reward type on your Sentinels, you can expect to get a ton of these anyway. You get about 4 or 5 a map, as long as you're using both of the Sentinels as Sentinel reward and you're doing them correctly. So overall, these are not a problem. You're getting a ton of these and you're going to have a pretty big supply of them. As long as not everyone's not mass merging, you should be good to get them. Now, if you're paying half a chaos for a power core, and you've got to get 100 of them to get 5 bases, so it's basically about 10C per base if you actually do merge everything, and you consider the Sentinel bases in your stash, like the trash ones, as free. So would you pay 10C per mutated base that you get on average? Well, I mean, absolutely you would. It's absolutely a steal. At 10C each, there's no way these things aren't worth it. And the reason for that is that if you just manage to get a hit with them, you are basically going to be like doubling or tripling the efficiency of any Sentinel mod that you get on there. So let me give you an example, okay? So here's what I do with my my special Sentinel bases. Okay, so I actually need to use a red one here. So if I have a Sentinel with a good reward, which I've run, and it's run out. So this one has a 2.3% chance to have empowered enemies have a Sentinel reward. When I get to this point, it's run out of juice. I always merge it with a favorable base. You have a roughly 1 in 4 chance of hitting the base and the mod together. And that 1 in 4 chance will essentially double the efficiency of the actual Sentinel in a lot of cases. Now this one is the Cryptic is not actually very good in terms of the red one. Let's actually use an ancient one because it's way better. So this ancient one is looking pretty good. So this ancient one here. So you can see this ancient one here has 162 enemies empowered versus 85. That's double. And then you also have 50% more charges. So if I can end up getting the good mod onto a Sentinel, which has good base, then I'm essentially getting over double the actual essential return here, which is pretty damn good. Now that means that I'm getting, like, if for example on Expedition, I'm getting way more profit. So if you guys didn't know, some of these modifiers are completely ridiculous. Specifically Expedition, and Sentinel to some extent is also very, very insane. But it's fair to say that Expedition Sentinels can cost anywhere between 60C to 1 Exalt. And if you can just double the value of that right off the bat, that is an Exalt. An Exalt is 120C. So even if you failed all 4 of the special bases, and you just got the 1 in 4, it would still be worth trying it, because you're spending so much money on that Sentinel to get that Expedition, or you've got so much value in that Sentinel if you're doing Expedition, for example, that there's no way it's not worth it to try and graft it onto a special base and get the improvement. Okay, so if you do succeed, we've already established that it's very worth it. And we've already established that you should be mass merging to get these special bases. And if you're not mass merging, you should be buying these special bases if you can get them for like 10C each, which should be how much they cost based on the rates of how you merge. Okay, so the other thing is that when you have these special bases and you're trying to do this little merging thing here, you can actually do something else, which is very, very interesting. So traditionally, when people are merging their Sentinels, they'll likely use the transforming power core to try and actually get one of these bases and lock into them, which is pretty good. But if you're already merging onto one of these bases, well, yes, you could use the transforming power core, but you already have a 50-50 shot at getting that base. So you can actually use the amplifying power core instead and really get even more potential for efficiency. Now, the reason for this is that this core actually has a chance to upgrade the tier of the modifiers on the Sentinel. Now, you will see here that I have a tier 3 Sentinel reward here. Okay, so if I were to upgrade this, that's again another massive more multiplier in terms of the actual rewards I'm gonna get and the efficiency of the Sentinel. So here, what we're looking for, ideal outcome if we win every single RNG lottery here, is that we would get Sentinel reward on the Ancient Stalker Sentinel, and we'd upgrade the Sentinel mod. Okay, so this is probably not gonna work because it's like a 1 in 4 and then it's like a lucky roll on the mod. So we'll see. Okay, so we got the base, Ancient Stalker Sentinel. Let's see if we get the mod here. Oh, we are not going to get it. That is unfortunate. Now, that's actually still a really good Sentinel. It's got 200% quantity, which is pretty sweet. But the thing is, we didn't actually lose anything here. So in this case, we would have actually lost the Sentinel mod regardless of what we did. Even if you were to merge it with any other Sentinel, you still would have lost it most likely because, you know, it's a 50-50. Now, the thing here is we didn't lose our base though. So that's pretty damn good. We have our base still. We can try it again with another modifier if we wanted to. And we can see what we get next time. So we can see this one also has Sentinel reward. We can try this one really quick to see if we can get it. So I'm going to merge it with this Primevil here. This one actually does have a ton of suffixes on it, so it is quite unlikely that we're going to get it the way we want, but that's kind of just the way the cookie crumbles. We're going to grab our amplifying power core out here, and we're going to go for another merge here. So merge them up. So we've got our Primevil. Do we have our Sentinel reward though? Ooh, yeah, we do. And it went up to tier 1. Okay, so this is the example of what I was talking about. So we have now a Sentinel with 18 charges instead of 10. And we also, I think it's actually instead of 8. I don't know how many the obsidian has actually. The obsidian has 8. Yeah, so we have literally over double the charges. We just upgraded the tier. And we now empower significantly more enemies, 50% more enemies. That is ridiculous. So that is absolutely worth using. And we know all of the data, and we understand how rare they are. And that by itself, just this, now means mass merging is efficient and it's worth your time and it's worth doing. It generally takes about 10 minutes to mass merge like 2 or 3 quad tabs if you're kind of being quick with it. And it can be faster than that if you're lightning fingers. But overall, it is definitely worth it. Now, that calls into question the price of power cores though. If this is so worth it, you're getting so much efficiency, and these bases on average right now with power core prices cost 10C each, which is pretty underpriced in my opinion, well, at what point would you stop merging with power cores? I think that 0.5C is a pretty good place, but honestly, I would pay up to 1C each for these power cores. I'm not saying to go out and buy them for 1C each, but I would pay up to 1C each. And the math just checks out on that, because that would make each of the special bases 20C on average, and overall, I'm okay paying 20C for a base when I have a good chance to keep it if I fail, and if I succeed, I'm doubling the efficiency or tripling the efficiency of my modifier, which I actually wanted to get on a new base. So overall, it's a no-brainer. At 0.5C, it's a steal, and at 1C, it's okay. Okay, moving on. What else are you getting from mass merging? Because it doesn't stop there. The actual gains are pretty damn good. But first, I want to show you guys the most efficient way to mass merge Sentinels, so you guys can make sure you don't mess around too much and waste a bunch of time in your hideout. Okay, so the base way to mass merge Sentinels is the following. First of all, you're going to want a merging tab. So this is my merging tab here. It's ideal if you have a quad tab. Ideally, it really is going to save you a lot of time and effort. But basically, you want to have a quad tab and you want to have the left side of it open up. Okay, so you want to then go through and make sure you have all these Sentinels in here, which you don't want. Pick out like a good amount of them, of the same color. So we're going to pick out all these blue ones here. Do I have any more? I've got plenty more blue ones here. So we're going to pick out all these blue ones here. And then all you're going to want to do is right click on a power core and then click them in like this. And then you're going to right click on a power core again, and that cancels the animation. And you can do this really, really fast. So like this, actually, I wonder if you can hit enter. You can't enter, that would be too OP. So you can do it like this, and you can just quickly go down the line, and there you go. You've now done 6 merges, pretty quick. And then what you're gonna do with these Sentinels is you're gonna dump them back in here. And you're gonna essentially end up with a pretty big supply of Sentinels, and you'll have half a quad tab of them or something like that. And then you're gonna use the following codes. So first of all, you are going to have a small chance of getting new modifiers when you merge these Sentinels. And what that essentially means is you actually have a chance at getting, for example, currency, more Sentinel rewards, expedition, legion, delirium, all sorts of stuff like that. And it's actually a pretty damn good chance. So I would say for every time I fill up my quad to up to about here, I would say that I get around 2 good mods that I could either use or sell myself. And overall, Sentinels sell for about 15C with a good mod, so that's not too bad. That again is just adding to the equation and making mass merging even more profitable. So in terms of that, you just want to use your normal regex. Okay, so you see I'm in Mag 6 here, but you can see here that I don't have any special mods in here yet, but this one actually that we made earlier is in there. But overall, that's what you're going to be wanting to do. And then also you can then use this other regex, which these will all be in the description below, to search for these special bases. Now, don't be deceived. You can see these have a mod called Cryptic, which is kind of annoying, but you can see that you just have to quickly mouse over these and take a quick look if there actually are Cryptic or not. But in most cases, you can quickly sort through it like that. And then overall, that's going to be where you're at. You're going to be able to mass merge really quickly. You're going to be able to get a really high amount of these good special juicy bases for your merging needs, and it's going to be really good. And you can actually maybe even get a few really good mods as well. And overall, I would highly recommend picking up all these Sentinels and making sure that you're using them like I'm showing here. It doesn't take long to merge them all, and overall it can be quite profitable. Now, after you fill up this tab and you've kind of done all your merges, you can then merge these again if you would like, and then you can kind of like get another round at the dice and see what you get there. And it's just going to take you more cheap power cores to do that. And overall, you're going to end up with a ton of bases, which is really good. You definitely want those, and you're going to end up with a ton of new mods, which you can then go ahead and do whatever you want with. Now, the unfortunate thing here is you do get a lot of uniques as well, and I honestly haven't tested these yet, so I don't actually know how good they are, but I might do that in a future video if you guys are interested in it. But overall, well, is it worth it to mass merge? Absolutely. At current prices of power cores, it's an absolute steal. If you're fast with your clicking and you don't mind it and you enjoy the kind of the merging of it, it's absolutely worth it. You should definitely be doing it, and it's going to make it so that you're a ton more efficient and you're going to be making a lot more money off Sentinel, and it's definitely something to look into. All right, so just to give you guys a bit of a sneak peek, on the agenda coming up is going to be a Sentinel profitability calculator that you can put any Sentinel into, and it should give you a rough idea of how much you could make on average from a Sentinel. So what I'm currently doing is I'm testing every single reward type on Sentinel to understand the drop table and kind of come up with a bit of an estimated value for what it might be worth. So we can kind of figure out what the best rewards are and what the worst rewards are. And that's going to come into a whole ton more strategies, man. I'm telling you, it's going to be so many more strategies, because yes, for example, expedition is the best. I can tell you that right now. Expedition is the best. But what if you combined currency with delirium? Maybe those two combined together could actually match expedition, and now you have some interesting worlds in which Sentinels with multiple mods could be as good as Sentinels with one good mod. You know, so you should see, oh my goodness, there's so much stuff that we still have to do. But yeah, overall, keep an eye out for that video. And in addition to that, I'm also going to be showing you guys how you can get rich off Sentinel in white maps. Spoilers, it's just doing white maps for Sentinels, but with a twist. And that twist is running into the map, running in, doing your Sentinel and running out, and then being really fast. But making sure you have really good efficiency on your maps and your buying and your Sentinels that you're using and all sorts of stuff like that. But that's coming up. Make sure you guys tune into that. I'll see you guys the next time. Cheers.